Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fudge Nugget Kingdom. My name is Genesis9876 and welcome back to Apollo Justice Appeal to Truth. So in the last episode we started the second case, Turnabout on Rails, and I gotta say so far, it's off to a pretty interesting start. We got 4 characters from the official Phoenix Wright games making a return, with a few changes, especially for Gumshoe. He's definitely the one that's changed the most of all. And we also met some very interesting new characters along the way, including Perun Shears and good old grumpy old man Mr. Season. I'm not quite sure what to expect, and I have no idea who the murderer could possibly be. If I had to guess from the characters available, probably the conductor guy, because we didn't really see much of him, and he has a bit of a mysterious air to him. So I will probably have to wager the conductor guy for now. But in all honesty, I have no idea, and I'm very intrigued to see who it will end up being. I guess you can say the mystery is part of this game's appeal.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
Fine, okay, I'm sorry. Anyway, let's continue with the trial. June 2nd, 6:52 a.m., District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. Alright, I think this is the place. Ah, Apollo, you had me worried there for a second. How's it going, Maya? What would we do without having our quirky sidekick to offer emotional support? I don't exactly plan on filling the role of quirky sidekick, thank you very much. Besides, last I just checked, you're not supposed to be doing all that much either. I'll have you know that channeling is very grueling work, thank you very much. Just try to prove me wrong. Mystic Maya! Oh, come on, Pearly, can't we mess around just a little? Besides, I already filled me in on everything yesterday. But Mr. Justice doesn't even know Mystic Maya. And I want to see her too. I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet. Please, Mystic Maya, there'll be time for this later. Alright, it's nothing to make a big deal out of. I get it. Well then, without further ado... Are you ready to witness the Korean channeling technique firsthand, Paulo? Oh, just like this? There's no big ritual or anything? Nope. Alright, go for it then. You must be, what are you doing? You don't have to bow, you know. What? But isn't spirit channeling like... a sacred divine art, passed down by the Holy Mother, miracle on earth and stuff like that? You know? No, I've never heard it referred to quite like that. Cultural misunderstandings, it's okay. Oh, of course. Is starting just one day off on a good note too much to ask for anymore? For a defense attorney in Japanifornia, yes, Apollo, yes it is. Now, there's no reason to be so embarrassed. You're Apollo Justice, correct? Yeah, and you're Mrs. Mia Fey? Mrs. just fine, thank you. Oh, okay. Hello, Mystic Mia. Hello, Pearly. It's been a while, hasn't it? You're usually the one channeling me these days, aren't you? Yeah. Are you ready for today? I'm scared, but Mystic Maya has faith in you, so I do too. That's good to hear. Hang in there for me today, alright? Alright. I'll try to be strong for you and Mystic Maya. I've already caused so much trouble for all of you, it's the least I can do. It's not trouble at all, Pearl. I mean, this is my job after all. Thanks. Now then, Mr. Justice, Maya told me that there was something else we need to look into. Is that right? Oh yeah, that. She filled me in on most of the details. My old office being taken over and given our last name, and a strange defense attorney who seems to be connected to us. It's quite the mystery. Well, it hasn't exactly been a fun mystery for me, to be honest. So I've heard. Can you tell me about the lawyer you work under? Godot, right? Oh, he has pure white hair and visor across half his face. You know, like any normal person. It, glows red. It almost looks like something out of a sci-fi story. Well, I had my suspicions earlier, but I can't say I ever knew anyone that fit that description. And those features are rather distinctive. That's putting it lightly. Tell you what, when we get out of court, I'll make sure to write a note to Maya. We'll find some time to do a proper investigation into this, you and me. That'd be great. That settles it then. We'll get to the bottom of both these mysteries, I promise. Well, it's almost time. Are you ready, Pearly? I'll be okay. Good. Alright, Apollo, let's give it everything we have. It's punishment time! Right, no holding back. It'll all be fine, right? June 2nd, 7 a.m. District Court. Alrighty. There's Sebastian at the prosecutor's bench.
Court is now in session for the trial of Pearl Fey. Oh my gosh, I miss doing this voice.
The prosecution is ready as always, Your Honor. The defense is also ready, Your Honor.
Make so soon, Mr. Justice?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't think you were defending today.
Some last-minute changes were made, but regardless, both parties are ready. So there isn't a problem, is there?
Well, you do have a point.
It's so weird seeing Sebastian sitting at the prosecutor's bench. We've never actually, like, seen that in official Phoenix Wright style before. Looks like Prosecutor DeBest got the paperwork changed for my end time. Less of a hassle for us, it looks like.
Well, if everything is in order, I don't see any reason we shouldn't proceed to the opening statement.
Of course, allow me to enlighten the court as to the events of the case. Though I typically work murder trials, today's trial is, what is it? A bird of a different feather. We have evidence to just suggest our victim used that day's crash as an opportunity to attack our defendant. However, the strange nature of our crime scene is why we have gathered in the court's sacred halls today. While this would normally be a matter of self-defense, the victim was found tied to an electrical steel beam. Had we found her corpse in a different condition, the solution to the case would be simple. But the state of the corpse proves the defendant had intent to kill, even beyond what was necessary for her safety. And her continued denial of the police's conclusions and questioning certainly doesn't help matters. The evidence we have gathered points to Miss Pearl Fey as the only possible culprit. The prosecution intends to prove this to the court beyond a shadow of a doubt. That was quite an opening statement for him. He's certainly come prepared. It can never be easy, can it? It generally isn't. Mia speaking from experience. If I may call my first witness, Your Honor.
Of course, the court grants the prosecution's request.
The prosecution calls Detective Gumshoe to the stand. Ooh yeah, big shot Gumshoe. Witness your name and occupation.
Nick Gumshoe, homicide detective. I was assigned to the case when they settled on Mr. DeBest as a prosecutor, pal.
Thank you, Detective. If you will please clarify the prosecution's findings to the court.
Of course, pal, it's just... you two better put up a real good fight, you hear? I don't want there to be any doubt in my mind we have the right verdict when this is over.
Of course. I don't know why we...
Detective, your testimony.
Sorry, sir. Right away.
Alright, first witness testimony of the case. Time of the crash.
There were only 4 people left on the train by the time it was heading into Crane. As the train pulled into the station, a steel support beam crashed down into the first passenger car. Only Pearl and the victim were in the first passenger car. We have a witness who can attest to that. The crash cut off the power, so the door between the cars wouldn't open. They were trapped. That's when the victim pulled a dagger on her, pal. By the time the power's back on, well, you've seen the crime scene, haven't you, pal?
I see. So that's how it happened.
Well, we don't know that for sure yet.
Well, hurry up and cross-examine me, then.
Hold on, Detective. I'm a bit confused about something.
Of course, Your Honor.
I understand why the prosecution came to its conclusions about the defendant. But what about the victim? Why would she attack Miss Fey?
I apologize, Your Honor. The prosecution is investigating the victim's motive as we speak. However, the Fey clan does have a history of internal conflict, especially between those with and without power.
That does sound distantly familiar.
It should be, Judge. You presided over pretty much every single trial that had that internal conflict. Here, go ahead and look over my research materials from last night.
Why, thank you.
Right now, the matter at hand is the actions of our defendant, not our victim. So I hope the information provided will be sufficient. Do you agree with my judgment, Your Honor?
Yes, I thought so.
He's completely wrapped up in his reading. Your Honor, may we proceed?
Oh, yes, go right ahead.
I think okay. He remembered. Time of the crash.
There were only 4 people left on the train by the time it was heading into Crane.
Crud, I forgot how to press. There we go. Other than the defendant and the victim, who else was on the train?
That'd be the florist, Miss Perune Shears, and the conductor. And before you ask, both of them have alibis. The conductor was in the locomotive, and Miss Shears was in the cargo car.
Rest assured, we'll give the defense a chance to question both witnesses. But as things stand, it's doubtful either of them was involved in the case. Right. Come on, Mr. Justice, did you think I would let the case get this far without vetting my witnesses? No, I guess not. Haha, Prosecutor Best brings out nothing but the best in his cases. Ain't that right?
As the train pulled into the station, a SEAL support beam crashed down in the first passenger car. Press.
Kinda coincidental, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's how it worked out. Crane Station has a history of being under-maintained. The train company doesn't prioritize a station that gets so few passengers, I guess. And there's some kind of past drama or something to it, too.
I think the train station wasn't very popular when it was initially built all those years ago. But that was before I was even born. I don't think relations should be that bad. Sounds like something Maya would know more about if it's still relevant. Probably.
Regardless, that's how it happened. Only Pearl and the victim were in the first passenger car. We have a witness who can attest to that. Press?
That was Miss Shears?
Yeah, pal. She said the victim went as far as luring her into the front passenger car. Which, unfortunately, supports our theory pretty well.
But the victim had scheduled to have Miss Faye channel someone that day. It wouldn't be unnatural for that victim to want to talk to her in private.
That may be so, pal, but the rest of the evidence points to our explanation. If you have something to disprove our theory, though, go on and present it.
Sorry, Detective. I don't think I do.
Ow. The crash cut off the power, so the door between the cars wouldn't open. They were trapped. Press?
And that's the same reason why the witnesses all have alibis, right?
Yep. That's what the prosecution's deduced.
It was quite simple, really, especially for the likes of me. It's just basic logic, Mr. Justice. If it's so basic, then why are you bragging about it? I'm not bragging. Sure you're not. Sorry, man. Ha! Must not counter comment.
That's when the victim pulled a dagger on her, pal.
This dagger, right?
Yep, we're absolutely positive that's the victim's dagger.
Absolutely positive?
Like 90% sure.
100%.
100%, I guess.
How come, Detective?
The knife's handle was absolutely covered in her fingerprints. Multiple people in the village identified it as one of the knives she kept in her kitchen. The police even found an old purchase record for the knife, so it's gotta be here.
That sounds pretty 100% to me. I don't think this is a fact of the case we're going to be able to dispute. I could have told you that.
By the time the power's back on, well, you've seen the crime scene, haven't you, pal? Press.
And the crime scene led to the rest of the prosecution's conclusions.
Yeah, the fact that the defendant went as far as to tie the victim to the beam, it would definitely prove she had intent to kill. And you can't deny that her fingerprints are on that strap hanger she was tying up with.
You all are going on about the crime scene like we've all seen the thing, but I have no idea what I should be picturing here.
Keep the judge on track, y'all.
I feel a little left out.
I apologize, Your Honor. Here, I have documentation of the scene right here. Let me provide it to the court. There you go. I did it. I presented evidence. Train diagram added to the court record. Crash diagram added to the court record. Does that solve the problem, Your Honor?
Oh yes, this helps quite a bit. I can see the scene clearly in my mind now.
Oh, just don't look too closely.
Why, you're right, Mr. DeBest. Oh yes, it's quite the chilling scene.
Methinks we're taking the metaphor a little too far.
Oh, that's enough. I think the court understands the facts quite clearly.
But pal, there's gotta be something that was off.
Are you sure we're not missing anything? I couldn't see any contradictions either.
Come on, there must be something.
Now, Detective. We've given the defense ample time to go over your testimony. I think we've heard enough. Unless there's something else the defense wants to inquire about.
Something else? If His Honor is giving us a chance, we should take it. But what should I ask about? I already questioned Gumshoe plenty. Apollo, always start from the assumption that your client is telling the truth. But if Pearl's telling the truth, this whole argument has to be wrong. Where do I even start with that? If we need to tear down the prosecution's argument, we need to start from its weakest link. How is Mia a better mentor than Godot is, and Mia's dead? What about the prosecution's case struck you as off? That's where I'd start. Okay, Your Honor, the defense would like to hear more about the... Oh god, I don't know. Okay, So we have enough about the state of the crime scene, right? Because the state of the crime scene, we already received documentation on it. Timing of the crash, you know what? Let me save. Timing of the crash, maybe? Because I think we might already have the length of the blackout. Maybe I should let this go, but it just seems too odd to me. The fact that the crash occurred the very day Miss Knott planned to attack my client, I just can't shake it. It seems too perfect. Are you sure it was just an accident, Mr. DeBest? Because I think it's just as likely that it wasn't. I thought you would say that. Of course you did. Hey, I'm just trying to ensure my case is as thorough as possible. There's no need to give me mouth like that. Well, if you have something to counter me, bring it up then. Fine. Would the court take a look at this, please? The train schedule? If the accident 2 days ago was due to any kind of out-sea manipulation, there's only one window of time where the manipulation could occur. I like to draw the court's attention to a certain train, particularly the one that departed at 4:30. If you just do some easy math, it becomes clear it would have pulled into the village at 5:30. If the beam had been tampered with, then surely it would have to be done after the train arrived, or else a different train entirely would have crashed. But that still leaves an hour and 30-minute time frame for the beam to have been tampered with. Now, Mr. Justice, don't assume I'm not playing with a full deck. The best protege wouldn't construct an argument with such an obvious weakness. It just so happens that the prosecution has found a witness who covers that time frame to a T. Oh, I should have figured this was coming. Your Honor, if I may.
Go right ahead.
Mr. Season, how's it going? What is your name and occupation?
Don't tell me what to do, city boy. Don't think your position is enough to let you boss me around.
I had a feeling this might happen.
Gee, you did?
Look, he's a valuable witness to this case. I had no choice but to call him. I really don't want to put up with this. What, and you think I do? This isn't my fault.
Oh, there you go again, always whining. You city folk are so privileged. Why, I bet you were spoiled rotten as a kid, you little scamp.
Objection. I'm not a scamp. Who are you to... The department recognized me...
Ha! I'm not gonna let some privileged rich kid get through this without giving him a hard time.
Oh, yes. Calm yourself down, Sebastian. Calm yourself down. Listen to the tempo of the music. This is Mr. Hal Season. He runs a herbery in Karine Village.
Bah! Who gave you permission to...
Mr. Season.
Ah! Yes, Mia dear.
Could you behave yourself for the court, please?
Behave myself?
His herbery is located right next to the train station. In fact, it's one of the only populated buildings nearby.
Bah, that's because you built the station right over what used to be my parents' herb garden. Let me tell you, before modern medicine, we had a huge garden to grow all the herbs you'd ever need. The herbery was a special place, in its own little corner of the village, and
I'm not sure we need a history lesson, Mr. Season.
You think you can level with me just because you're an old man? Is that it? Let me tell you, the environment you've grown up in...
Behave.
But...
The point is that Mr. Season was in his herbery for the whole hour and 30-minute time frame. You testified as much to me earlier, but I'm not about to drag it out of him. That's fair.
Yes, the court accepts the prosecution's words as the witness's own.
Had anyone tampered with the steam beam, he most certainly would have seen, or at least heard it. So witness, tell the court, what was the most significant thing that happened during the time frame?
Between 5:30 and the crash, right?
Why, of course.
All right, then.
Witness testimony. The truth about the crash.
I was wrapping up my afternoon tea when it happened. That obnoxious train was pulling into the station, rattling against the track like always. Then I heard it, a noise like a creaking sound and then a loud crack. I hurried to look out the window, leaned out it and everything. I heard footsteps, and there was a silhouette. Someone was running off. Someone was running away from that beam. Somebody messed with it.
Huh? Witness, what is the meaning of this? This isn't anything close to what you told the police. You know what? We should have expected it from this guy.
So what about it, big boy?
Why didn't you tell us about this earlier? We would have investigated this. Also, this is a cravat, you dumb...
Yeah, right. You would have investigated it. Why, I reckon had I told you what I saw, you wouldn't even have let me testify. I know how you lawyers are. Corrupt down to the bone, let me tell you. If it harms your case, you'll do everything to ensure it's suppressed.
I assure you I wouldn't. I'm not. I never interface with the words of a witness.
Interface? Oh, shut up. You don't fool me. I know how the world works.
Is that really what you saw, Mr. Season?
Bah, what's with that snark, boy? I'm helping your case, aren't I? Helping it! What's your problem? Are you wrong in the head or something?
I
should have known. I should have known. You all just want to pick on us as country folk, huh?
No, that's not it. Mr. Season, you are telling the truth, aren't you? Because if you aren't, it's going to be very hard for us to figure out what really happened to our little Pearly.
I know that.
All right, then.
I know he's helping the case, but I have a feeling we should cross-examine his testimony, just in case.
I couldn't agree more.
Mia, darling.
We just want to be extra sure, Mr. Season. Is that so wrong?
I guess not.
Please make this cross-examination quick, you two.
What's that supposed to mean?
Alright, let's go with the cross-examination, y'all. The truth about the crash. As usual, we're gonna press every statement.
I was wrapping up my afternoon tea when it happened.
Press.
Your afternoon tea? Yes, I make tea with herbs straight from the garden. Every afternoon I start up a pot and boil it. Then I place it by the window to cool down, and by the time the sun starts setting, I'm all ready. Just me slowly making my way through a couple cups of tea as the sun sets.
Oh my, that sounds very nice.
Well, of course it is. You always need to put aside some time to enjoy the little things. Something the lot of you all have seemed to have forgotten.
You shouldn't make such sweeping assumptions, Mr. Season. I too enjoy a good cup of—
Oh, shut up! I don't want to hear from you. I bet you don't know a thing about tea.
Oh, really?
Let's not start a tea-related debate, please. Someone's life is on the line here. I want to remind everyone of that.
Agreed.
That obnoxious train was pulling into the station, rattling against the tracks like always.
Press. How loud is the train?
How loud? How loud?
Oh boy. Please keep it concise for the court, Mr. Season.
Right. Those trains are the loudest things in the whole village, let me tell you. And they have the audacity to let them run at night. There was only one time one of those midnight trains was excusable. One.
So, that being said, you were still able to hear the beam falling just fine.
You stupid boy. Of course I could hear it just fine. I hear that train every single day, multiple times. Of course I would notice if it sounded a little different.
Are you sure we have to double check this guy's testimony? I'm so sorry. I love how Mia has to apologize on Mr. Season's behalf.
Then I heard it. A noise like a creaking sound and then a loud crack.
Press. So you think that was the beam crashing?
What a stupid question. What else could it have been? You tell me, what else do you think it was?
I guess you have a point.
You guess? Don't dumb it down. Say it, boy, say it. I have a point. Well?
Can we move on to the rest of the testimony, Mr. Season? Apollo has a little more self-respect than what you give him credit for. Just a little more.
Fine, dear.
Thank goodness.
I hurried to look out the window, leaned out it and everything.
How far away were you from the window at the time?
Well, I had finished my tea and was putting the pot and the teacup away in the kitchen. The window was just a few paces away, in the room next to the kitchen. And don't you dare call into doubt how fast I could get there, just because I'm an old man. I know I'm not that close to kicking the bucket just yet. I've tried to maintain proper health all my life. I'm perfectly capable of running over to my window.
Okay. You made your point perfectly clear.
I heard footsteps, and there was a silhouette. Someone was running off.
Press. You could pick up footsteps from all the way at your window?
I was leaning out the window, thank you very much. And that station's made of metal, so it's even easier to hear stuff like that. Especially when someone's running. Why, I can practically count the number of people coming into the village. Most of them don't come toward the shop, though.
Sounds like business has been booming lately. Internal monologue, Apollo, internal monologue. Right, sorry.
Someone was running away from that beam. Somebody messed with it.
Are you sure about that, Mr. Season? And do you have any idea what the person in question looked like? Well, it was getting late, so it was kind of hard to make him out. Didn't you see any details at all? Gender, height? You had to at least see some sort of color, skin tone, clothing. Right, the silhouette was average height, and white-skinned. I see. How convenient. It might have been a man, maybe. Maybe? I don't know. Don't you pick on an old man. There was someone there, okay? End of story. You alright, Apollo? Yeah, this guy's just something else. Why do I have this terrible feeling I'll be saying that a lot more often? I'll try to step in where I can, but I have a feeling it won't help much. I'm pretty sure his mind is completely made up. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Let's just get through this. Okay, so... that means it's time to find a contradiction. Not quite sure. I feel like this contradiction is obvious, I'm just not seeing it. I say that and I've like double-checked the evidence like numerous times already, and I genuinely have no idea what it could be. I'm lost on this one, guys. I'm lost. I don't know. I need to think about this a little more. Okay, so I was wrapping my afternoon tea when it happened. The train was pulling into the station, rattling against the tracks like always. Then I heard it, a noise like a creaking sound, and then a loud crack. He said, okay, so he said he heard a loud cracking sound, which was the sound of the beam breaking. Oh, I keep forgetting there's multiple photos, right? Oh! Wait. He said he heard, then I heard it, a noise like a creaking sound, and then a loud crack. Okay, a loud crack. But from the way it's broken, there are multiple breaking points right here, here, and there. Maybe he should have heard multiple? Is that what we're going with here? Oh, they objected at the same time. Okay, we got it. Whew, thank you. Oh my god, I've been stuck on that for a while because I genuinely didn't know. I noticed it first, so if I may... Says who? Besides, it's my cross-examination, Mr. DeBest. But his testimony helps the defense, not the prosecution. So if anyone should point out the contradiction, it should be me. Yeah, but... Gentlemen... Right. Sorry. The point is that Mr. Season said he heard a loud cracking sound. Yeah, so what? What's wrong with it? Of course the beam would make a noise as it fell. The problem isn't that you heard a noise, Mr. Season, but that you heard a noise. If the court would take a look at this diagram...
Alright, what about it?
Our focus should be on the beam here, particularly this part of it. That part right there, right? Because that's the part where the beam itself snapped into. So not only did it break off here, but it also broke off on its own, right? Look at how the beam's broken. Mr. Season said he heard one loud cracking sound, correct?
Well, yes.
Tell me, Your Honor, looking at this diagram here, what do you think the crash would have sounded like?
Okay. Well, there'd probably be some sort of noise from when the beam was disconnected from the station. Then there'd be the sound of it colliding with the train. And just after the initial collision, the beam would snap in half.
Exactly! So tell me, Mr. Season, why exactly did you testify to only hearing a singular crack sound? That is hard, man! Bah! So what? The train's super noisy even without the crash. Of course it was a little confusing. I doubt you would mishear the sound of a steel beam careening into a decelerating train, Mr. Season. It's the whole reason you looked out the window. Now you're saying you might have misheard it? So what? So what? Mr. Season, this calls your entire testimony into doubt. No, it doesn't. What are you doing, you stupid boy? I knew it. I knew this was all some plot against us. Just because I got confused about some sounds doesn't mean I'm wrong about the whole thing.
Now, you two, the man has a point. I don't think this is grounds enough to throw out an entire witness. No matter how much we'd like to.
Excuse me?
I'm also not so sure as to why the defense is so insistent on debunking this testimony.
It's alright, Apollo, keep going. If the witness doesn't tell the truth, we'll never figure out what really happened, right? And the defense believes wholeheartedly in our defendant's story. The truth is on our side. But I am telling the truth, I am! Very well, Mr. Season. If you're so insistent that you're telling the truth, go ahead and tell us a little more. Surely someone who witnessed the events with his own eyes wouldn't make another such slip-up.
Of course not. Well then, let's hear it.
What actually happened? See, what happened before wasn't what actually happened. This is what happened.
Fine, so I was a bit wrong about what I heard, whatever. But I swear there was a silhouette there. This whole thing is a setup, I tell you. Someone orchestrated this. It's all some new anti-fake conspiracy. Sure, I couldn't make out who it was, but so what? The sun was in my eyes.
The sun?
The vicar was running away from the beam, away from the house, probably to go hide somewhere. Well, how's that? Can't find anything wrong this time, can you? Ha!
I wouldn't get too cocky if I were you. Testimony like this should be nothing for the best protege in the department.
You're aware this is still technically my cross-examination, right?
I guess not. Well, at least we don't have to worry about the prosecution shutting us down.
Your Honor, can we just go ahead?
By all means, Mr. Justice.
Thank you.
Cross-examination. What actually happened?
Fine, so I was a bit wrong about what I heard, whatever.
Press.
A bit wrong?
Can we not focus on this? We moved on to a new testimony. No testimony!
I feel that's a perfectly reasonable request.
I think it could do with less yelling, personally.
Only if you stop with your objection and hold it nonsense.
Alright, I guess you can keep yelling.
But I swear there was a silhouette there. This whole thing is a setup, I tell you.
Hold it! Are you sure you couldn't make out anything about the silhouette?
For the last time, yes! It was hard for me to pick out any details. Now, can you please stop dragging my eyesight through the mud? I'm old and have trouble seeing, yada yada. Can we drop this now?
Dragging his eyesight through the mud.
What are you on about?
Sorry. I was just caught up in the imagery.
It is rather amusing imagery.
Seems more creepy to me. Yeah, it seems very creepy to me too, Apollo. Can we please get back on task? Right.
Sorry.
Geez, enough of these city folk, right, me idea? At the very least, they could try to take this trial more seriously.
You too, Mr. Season.
Oh, right, sorry. Someone orchestrated this. It's all some new anti-fake conspiracy.
You make it sound like anti-fake conspiracies are a common occurrence.
They are, I tell you. It's like the whole world is against our master, I swear. Especially in this city. I tell you, every time she comes out here, she finds some sort of new trouble. And half the time she comes back from the city, I swear she's in a bad mood. You can see it in her eyes, I tell you. I don't know why she ever leaves the village. I hope none of you wear her out this time either.
Your concern is touching, Mr. Season. But it would really help us out if you could move the testimony along, please.
Of course, right away. Sure, I couldn't make out who it was, but so what? The sun was in my eyes.
Press.
Isn't the train station shaded? Wouldn't the figure you saw be in a shaded area?
Well, yeah, but the sun wasn't in the sky. It was setting. That shade canopy thing wouldn't protect my eyes if the sun was on the horizon.
I guess that's true.
So I guess that means the sun was setting parallel to the station.
Yeah, I think so.
See, so it's no problem at all. The figure was running away from the beam, away from the house, probably to go hide somewhere.
Press.
So just to get this straight, did the person run away to your left or to your right?
I think it was to the left. Yup, to the left. That's exactly what I saw.
You are aware that's away from the station's exit, right?
Yeah, so what? If I were a criminal, I wouldn't just take the nearest exit, I'd try to sneak out of there. It's not like the station is fenced in or something. You leave any which way if you really wanted to.
Yeah, Mr. Justice, you need to think more like a criminal would.
Why are you on his side?
I can't have you finding the wrong contradiction now, can I?
I can take care of myself, thank you very much.
Oh, really? Then prove it to me.
Sure, no problem. Just give me a bit longer.
I love Apollo and Sebastian's bickering in the courtroom. It's so freaking nice. This testimony's a little more thought out than the previous one, but I'm sure it's nothing you can't break through.
So we're like 90% sure he's lying, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Let's get this over with.
You know, pressing really doesn't help much in this game, I find. Sure, I couldn't make it out who it was, but the sun was in my eyes. Is there any way we can check whether, like, which way the sun was going? None of the pictures seem to have, like, a north, south, east, west. Oh, speak of the devil, there it is. Okay, so the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, right? But that means the sun would have been left to the seasonal herbery. I think this might be it. I think I'm right. Yes! Finally! Some sort of proof that I have an IQ that's in the double digits. Mr. Season, I have an easy question for you. In what direction does the sun set?
What kind of question is that supposed to be? It rises in the east and sets in the west. Even a child knows that much.
And do you happen to recognize this?
Of course I do. That's the diagram I gave you. What do you take me for, a grade schooler? Get to the point.
Gladly. Take a look at the train track in this diagram.
What about it, Mr. Justice?
The compass in the diagram makes it very clear that the train runs east to west. Which means the only way the sun could have gotten in Mr. Season's eyes is if it somehow set in the north. Mr. Season, there's no way that what you saw was possible. I could understand how you could be mistaken about the sound of a crash. But this? Admit it, these aren't just simple slip-ups, are they? There's no other way to explain it.
You're lying to the court, aren't you?
No, of course not.
Then how do you explain the position of the sun?
It's because You idiot! Why did you have to point that out?
Oh my god, how does this staff catch on fire anyway?
I'm trying to help here. Who is Pearl even to you, huh? Of all the stuck-up lawyers Maya had to get.
Mr. Season, answer me this, will you? Where were you actually when the crash occurred?
What do you mean, dear? I was in my house.
And what were you doing?
What does it matter? Leave me alone! Leave me alone!
Oh gosh, even Amia.
Order! Order! The witness will refrain from any further outbursts.
Don't you tell me what...
Or else he will be held in contempt of court. And I'm not talking about the one with that British detective.
You heard his honor.
Mia, darling, please. You can't let them do anything to Pearl. Those two need each other.
Did you think I didn't know that? If you really want to help, why don't you just tell us what you actually witnessed? Mr. Season, what's wrong with you? Oh, that was Pearl. Stop! Stop being so stubborn! Just tell the truth! You're making things worse for everyone!
I'm sorry. I'm making this harder for you too, aren't I, Pearly? You guys are right. I'm lying. I didn't see anything. You two know my body's not what it used to be. I slept through the whole thing. I didn't wake back up till the train crash had happened. I didn't mean to fall asleep, really. It's because of this stupid old body. I'm sure I would have seen something if I was awake. I'm sure of it.
And is that why you decided to waste the court's time?
Yes.
Come on now, Mr. DeBest. I wouldn't call it a complete waste of the court's time. After all, don't you remember why this witness was called to the stand in the first place? Oh, right. Since your witness didn't actually, witness anything, Mr. DeBest, it's still completely possible that the bean could have been tampered with. Am I right?
You mean I helped?
He could have just not testified in the first place. Sure, you helped. Not really.
I think you've done enough helping for one day, however.
Yeah, you're probably right.
The witness is dismissed. Please leave. Apparently without a perjury charge, too.
Well, Mr. DeBest, I think we're ready to proceed with the trial. Mr. DeBest.
I apologize, Your Honor. That didn't exactly go to plan.
Gee, you think?
The prosecution acknowledges the fact that there is indeed a possibility the crash had been intentional. However, at the present, it's only a possibility. The defense isn't presented no evidence to suggest otherwise. Or do you want to prove me wrong? No, I think I'm good right now. Furthermore, even if the defense could prove that bean was tampered with, I doubt it would help the defendant. It's far more likely it would be connected to the victim and our old plans for that day. And the victim is the one we're prosecuting today. With that in mind, I'd like to proceed with my argument as planned.
That seems fair enough.
There's nothing else we can do right now, right? No, I don't think so. For now, let's just see what the prosecution has in store for us. The prosecution would like to call its next witness to the stand. Oh, train conductor! Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Whoa, are you hearing this guy? I've heard that voice before. He sounds familiar. Your name and occupation, if you would. Why, of course. Princeton Rails. I'm a conductor on our local railway. Finally, the conductor. My primary suspect as of right now. A pleasure to see and serve you all here today. Oh, he's the conductor. The voice on the intercom? I recognize it anywhere. I ride the train all the time. Ah, yes, I remember your voice too. I remember each and every one of my passengers. Celia, right? It's Selena. Oh, well, close enough, I say. It's like I'm at the train station. Guys, this is nothing like a train station. Say a line, say a line, say a line. Okay. Attention, ladies and gentlemen, the next train will be departing shortly. Please board in a timely manner. Also, how was I able to produce the same sound? Despite common belief, you can be fashionably on time as well as fashionably late. And of course, mind the gap. We don't want you to be fashionably dead after all. Oh my god. This conductor's a little too descriptive. That's a little gruesome. That's him. It's gotta be. That's the voice. I hear his voice during my commute. I swear he haunts my dreams. His voice isn't haunting. Another line, another line.
Order! Silence in the gallery. We've already been derailed enough today. You don't need to contribute too.
Aw, boo! I wanted to make him say something in their voice. Now, settle down all. I'm sure that there'll be time later. Mr. Rails, you were the one who discovered the defendant, weren't you? Why, yes, of course. Not exactly something anyone wants to happen upon. But better me than anyone else, I should say. It was my train after all. Doesn't the railway own the train? Details.
Oh, wait. You're the conductor on that one train line, aren't you? The one my grandson likes riding so much.
Geez, someone's slow on the uptake. Your grandson? Ah, yes, the little tyke that's always bouncing up and down the train cars. He's quite enthusiastic. Justin, was it?
Oh, yes, that's him. Wait, was that his name?
I know, you want my testimony, right? Now time for small talk, I guess.
Not in quite a lot, I'm afraid. That's right, isn't it, members of the gallery?
Well, I best get on with it then. Alright, witness testimony. Inside the train car. As soon as I recovered from the crash, I made an announcement to the passengers. Then I worked to get the emergency power back on. As soon as I could, I rushed into the first passenger car. That's when I saw that woman tied up to cold steel. I saw a young girl behind the body messing with the strap hanger. Confused, I carefully made my way to the defendant. It wasn't until I saw the knife that I'd realized she'd killed her. I quickly pocketed the weapon. I didn't exactly feel comfortable leaving it out in the open. Then I carefully escorted the defendant to the locomotive, where I waited for the police to arrive. Thank you, Mr. Rails. You're so kind. Someone looks a little more relieved than he should be. I do not. Now, gentlemen, my words are nothing to squabble over. We're not squabbling! Do you think a prosecutor like me would squabble, really? Yes, you absolutely would. Neither would I. Can you please fight with the prosecution over something more relevant? We're not the case, please. Sorry. The case. So, you weren't sure what had happened until you saw the knife, correct? Yes, indeed. Obviously nobody had been stabbed, but it was enough to make me realize there was malicious intent involved. In that case, it may benefit the court to know when exactly you noticed the knife, right? Very well then. Here. This is where the knife was at the time, and I was probably about here when I noticed it on the ground. Alright, thank you. Crash diagram updated in the court record. Mr. Rails, may I ask you one more thing? You, of course, go right ahead. There was a period of time where you were waiting for the police with Pearlie in the front locomotive, correct? Yes, indeed. And the power was still on then? So someone could have got into the crime scene. There you go. I'm just working off what you told me. Nothing worth getting to my head over, right? It's totally getting to my head later. The car would have been left unwashed while you were waiting for the police to arrive, am I right? Come on now, did you really think I wouldn't think of that? Oh, you haven't even heard my explanation. After I'd apprehended the defendant and called the police, I made another announcement to the passengers over the intercom. I explained the situation, and then I told them I was going to turn the emergency power back off in order to preserve the crime scene. I kept the police on the line while I was watching the little girl, and only turned the power back on when they arrived. And for that, I thank you. Oh, it was nothing. Serving others is just second nature to me. It would have helped if you were a little less selfless. Haha, I see the defense would prefer me to be more morally depraved.
For shame, Mr. Justice. How dare you?
That's not what I meant. You really should have seen something like that coming by now. Can we just get to the testimony now? Why go right ahead? Alright, let's go. Inside the train car. As soon as I recovered from the crash, I made an announcement to the passengers. Hold it! So the intercom system still works without the power on. Why yes, the designers made it a priority for situations just like that one. That way I could eschew panic and ensure the passengers I knew what was going on even in an emergency. And of course I do it in a proper conductorly voice. Yes, do the voice! No, please don't! Oh god dang it. Attention passengers, no need to worry. There has been an incident. I'm working to get the emergency power back on. As soon as it's back on, I'll address the situation. Stay in your seats until then. Ow, ow, not so loud! Oh, look who's talking, mister.
For the sake of our ears, let's move on.
Then I work to get the emergency power back on. Press. You guys have an emergency power system? For the doors mainly? We wouldn't want anyone to be stuck now, would we? It's a fairly common emergency procedure for me. They wouldn't let me command the train if I didn't know how to get it started. So you were able to turn it on fairly quickly? Yes, I'd say so. It only took me a few minutes. The autopsy says the victim died at 7:02. And the victim had to be tied up after she died too. So the time is of the utmost importance here, Mr. Rails. I'd say I took about 5 or 6 minutes. Right, so if anything else happened, it would have had to be done quickly. As soon as I could, I rushed into the first passenger car. That's when I saw that woman tied up to cold steel. Press. You immediately identified the victim? Well, not quite immediately. My account is just a bit of a dramatic recreation. I'm pretty sure it's not supposed to be. Didn't you swear by oath, Mr. Rails? He's just using the information he has now to fill in the gaps is all. I assure you it's nothing to get caught up in arms about. Exactly, I'm sure the gallery is loving it. Aren't you all? I guess it's more entertaining. I've seen crazier here. Woo, this is great! I mean, truth be told, they have seen more crazy stuff. Moving on. So what did you originally think at the time then? Well, it took me a moment to identify the body as well. A body. It was facing away from me after all. Had it just been the victim there, once I'd realized, I'm not sure what I would have done. I think I might have frozen up in fear. Hard to believe, I know. But there was another matter to attend to. I saw a young girl behind the body, messing with a strap hanger. Press. And that was the defendant? Yes, that girl over there, and the girl from that day are one and the same. I don't think she noticed me at first. She was working away with the strap hanger. I guess it's something you'd have to be careful with. One wrong move and 1,000 jolts of electricity would course through your body. Do you have to smile while you're saying that? Oh my god, this conductor is gruesome. Why, I don't think anyone would prefer if I frowned. Okay, sure, I would prefer if you frowned. Confused, I carefully made my way to the defendant. Press. You hadn't assumed she'd killed her at the time? No, not yet. She looked quite distressed. I remember her backing away as I approached, and she was trembling. She's quite the cute little button, to be fair. I didn't think she'd do anything to me. What? She's a cute kid is all. No need to glare, miss. Me being like a protective mother here. I promise I didn't do anything to harm her.
Well, now that you brought it up, I'm concerned about it.
Gah, sorry, your honorance. Rest assured, I remained a gentleman throughout. Even when I put 2 and 2 together, I did everything I could not to mistreat her. It wasn't until I saw the knife that I'd realized she'd killed her. Press. It was the knife specifically? I can think of at least 3 other things that should have given it away. Well, the scene I stumbled onto wasn't exactly normal. You don't exactly see a corpse set up like that every day. I was baffled to begin with. I don't see how I was supposed to put together what was going on right away. I think that's reasonable enough, Mr. Justice. Most of us don't make a habit of stumbling upon dead bodies. You can't expect someone to behave normally in the moment. I guess you're right. I quickly pocketed the weapon. I didn't exactly feel comfortable leaving it out in the open. If you pocketed the weapon, you would have had to grab it by the handle, correct? Yes, but I was wearing gloves at the time, see? But doesn't that mean your glove marks could have obscured a set of prints on the knife? The possibility that he would have placed his fingers in the exact same place as some magical third party, I'm afraid I find that highly unlikely. My apologies. I don't need an apology, thank you very much. What about my Apollo? We're moving on! Next statement! I don't want to hear any more puns! Then I carefully escorted the defendant to the locomotive, where I waited for the police to arrive. Press. How long did it take for them to arrive? About an hour and a half. That village isn't exactly conveniently located. And what did my client do during the time? Well, she was quite cooperative. Even when I escorted her, she didn't put up much resistance. She just sat silently while we waited for the police to arrive, hardly even talked to me. I suppose she was scared. I would have been being caught red-handed like that. The only time she spoke up was to ask if she was being arrested. I told her as such, and she continued to cooperate until the police arrived. That must have been a lot for her. It's probably good for us that she didn't put up a fight at least. It seems like things most likely line up with what Pearl told us. Then maybe it's better to focus less on the events themselves. Focus less on the events? So maybe we should turn our attention to the information we only get from his perspective? Yes, that's where I'd start. Very good. Haha, I was just spitballing. It's not that impressive. Maya was right. It is really easy to tell when you're embarrassed. You two haven't been gossiping, have you? Oh, only a little. There's only so much that can be done when you're dead. That doesn't make me feel any better. Okay, it's time for the hard part, finding the contradiction. Please, gods of the cross-examination, help me out here. As soon as I could, I rushed into the first passenger car. That's when I saw that woman tied up to cold steel. He saw a young girl behind the body messing with the strap hanger as soon as he rushed into the first passenger car. But here, Pearl is behind the beam itself. So maybe he shouldn't have been able to see her? Dang it! Take a look at... Apollo, what are you doing? I'm, presenting evidence. That's not going to help us. Sorry, I thought I was onto something.
I think you should pay closer attention to your co-counsel before making objections, Mr. Justice.
Blew up my HP bar. I feel like my stomach just dropped 10 feet. Dang it, what is it then? I don't know. I'm stuck again, y'all. It wasn't until I saw the knife that I realized she killed her. It's not a knife, it's a dagger. I don't know. What? Is that actually it? Oh my god, if that's it. Mr. Rails, can you clarify something to the court? This dagger's what made you realize that my client had killed the victim, correct? Why, yes. Can you tell me why that was exactly? Why that was, well, there was a dagger there. It's only natural assumption, isn't it? Oh, so he did know it was a dagger. Then what was the issue? Did I just accidentally stumble onto some inconsistency that I had no idea what? I failed to see how such a detail. If you could just wait a moment for the defense to finish making their point, Mr. DeBest. Mr. Rails, was there anything in particular about the knife that made you assume Pearl's guilt? Well, oh boy, it's gotten tense all of a sudden, hasn't it? Please, answer the question. Well, the knife was oriented towards the victim, so of course she tried to kill her. Aha! What? What did I say? Mr. Rails, are you aware of who owned this knife? It was a victim. The knife wasn't the defendant's, but the victim's herself. It was Miss Knott who was trying to attack Pearl, not the other way around. So shouldn't the dagger have been oriented towards my client, not the victim? I would never have gotten that. Are you kidding me? That's so hard to get. What do you mean? Simple. If it was the victim who held the knife, then their exchange should have gone something like this. Ms. Knott pulls the knife on the victim, and then Pearl shoves her. Wouldn't it make more sense for the knife to land somewhere around there? Objection. May I remind you why the dagger was on the ground, Mr. Justice? The victim must have dropped it at some point. She was shoved into a high voltage beam. If she dropped it due to the impact of the shove or even when she was getting electrocuted, it's not unreasonable to think it could have fallen at such a weird angle. The orientation of the dagger on the ground means nothing. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. So you see, it's just like I told you, it was oriented towards the victim. Am I completely off base about this? No, don't give up so easily. I think you're on to something. The story Pearlie told us is the truth. Everything you do in court should operate under that one assumption. But there's no way we can prove that. There'd have to be some kind of third party. We have no evidence. Then we have to find some, don't we? The knife would contradict the events we know so far, but then we have to disprove the best logic. Okay, I've got to have something, right? The defense would like to present evidence that proves, it's evidence that proves why the knife would have been oriented towards my client. I am saving. Okay, so Prosecutor DeBest said that the impact of the shove was what caused the victim to drop her blade. But it still ended up behind Pearl somehow? So unless she threw it, I don't see how it would have gotten there. But even if you threw it, I don't know if it would orient the other way, you know? So maybe the crash diagram? Yes, okay. Mr. Rails, you said yourself that this is where you were when you saw the knife. So? The prosecution just postulated that if the victim dropped the knife upon impact with the beam, that it was possible for the knife to have fallen in the way Mr. Rails described. But take a look at where it was found. The knife wasn't found near the rubble. It couldn't have been dropped upon impact. It's still possible that the victim dropped the knife while she was shoved. It could have been at the time of the initial shove instead of when she impacted the metal, but she would have been pointing the knife at Pearl at the time she was shoved. Would dropping it then be enough for the knife to turn a completely different direction? Yeah, that's what I was saying. If she dropped it on impact with the beam or while being electrocuted, it would make sense for the victim to throw up her arms at a strange angle. I could see how the knife could flip in the opposite direction, but to have the knife completely flip the other way after the initial shove, I doubt that could happen. We don't fully know what transpired in that train car. We can't say for sure we knew the positions of the victim or the defendant during the attack. Neither my client nor the victim have injuries that would suggest there was a struggle between the two. It must have been a quick exchange. It doesn't make sense for the knife to have fallen in the way the witness described. There wasn't enough of the struggle for it. Nyag! But I saw it! I really did! I swear, that knife was pointed towards the victim, not the defendant. It's not possible! It's what I saw! Mr. Rails, the only way what you saw was possible is if someone messed with the dagger. It's that or you're lying to the court. I'm not lying. Then why was the dagger facing the other way? I don't know that. Find something else wrong with my testimony, anything at all, I dare you. There's still no explanation for this contradiction. Well, I don't have one. There must be some sort of justification.
What is it, Mr. DeBest?
Witness, if what you say is true, there is only one possibility. One possibility that explains the knife's orientation. But, we've backed the prosecution into a corner. Isn't that a good thing? Mr. Rails, if what you're saying is really true, then it's possible someone planted the dagger there to make it look like a matter of self-defense. Isn't that possible that could have been done by a third party? There's a far more likely alternative. A more likely, oh no. It is possible that the defendant herself did the planting. It would be especially easy for her to get the victim's dagger. They lived in the same village and she held remarkably high status there. It would be possible for the defendant to wipe down the knife on her outfit, and with a rubber strap hanger there, she could plant the victim's fingerprints back on the knife without getting electrocuted.
So are you saying the defendant planned a murder that day from the outset?
Well, Oh no, so we're bumping it up to a full-on murder charge. You have no motive. There's no reason my client would do that. We can't just up the charges like this. If he gets away with this, there's going to be so much more at stake. I agree. Your Honor, unless the witness wants to correct his previous statement, which I don't, then I'm afraid the trial can't progress any further today. The prosecution isn't comfortable switching to such charges without proper motive. And proper motive requires proper investigation.
That sounds like a reasonable enough request. Defense?
Wait, it's fine with us, Your Honor.
Very well then. I expect you to both have investigated into this matter when we reconvene. Court is adjourned.
Oh no. Well, this took a bad turn. Everything just up and backfired on us. June 2nd, 10:02 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby number 2. Hey yo, Maya, welcome back. When did you get back? In the blink of an eye, Maya's here. Oh, hi. What's wrong? Don't make faces like that, you're gonna scare me. We're still in the game, aren't we? Well, yeah. I'm fine for now. Then why are you two so down? There's a lot to explain. Alright then, lay it on me. I explained everything I could remember to Maya. Okay. I'm sorry. It sounds like the prosecution is going to be switching to a murder charge. If we fail, it's not just a few years jail time we could be looking at anymore. Right. Aw, come on you two, no need to be so glum. Obviously it's not gonna be easy. We're gonna have to bust this case wide open to figure out what really happened. But you'll be fine, Pearly. We're just taking steps closer to the truth. We know you didn't do it, so either that conductor guy is lying or somebody planted the knife there. That's already one lead. And now we know for sure that the beam could have been tampered with. Lead number 2. We weren't going to accept any kind of guilty verdict anyway, right? So this is just a step forward. The stakes were already high either way. I mean, they got higher. She's trying to encourage us. Yeah, don't be such a downer. Oh my god. Sorry? The point stands, we're closer to the truth and we're gonna find it. Right, Paulo? Right, yeah. More enthusiasm. We're going to find the truth. More. We've got this. The truth can't hide from us. Haha, you dork. Hey, you encourage me. Aw, Pearl. Yeah, she's happy. You didn't see anything? Well, bring that enthusiasm with you later today. We're gonna get back to investigating. Already? Yeah, duh. I mean, it's a long train ride. I should probably pick up an early lunch or something first. Ooh, lunch. I want some. Get her some burgers. Mystic Maya. Fine, I'll be boring. Just this one time, Pearly. I'm gonna stick with Pearl and probably use this chance to talk to Mia in a bit too, while I still have time. Gumshoe said they're working on getting the electricity deactivated for the investigation. So that means no train ride. Wait, so how do we get there? I'll just sucker Gumshoe into driving us out there. How about we all meet up at Sis's office in an hour or two? Sounds good to me. Perfect! Me and Gumshoe will see you there. Save me something from your lunch. I'll think about it. Thank you, Mr. Justice. I'll, see you later, right? Of course. We'll get you out of this, Pearl. See you in a bit, Maya. Later. To be continued. Alright, we finished the entire courtroom in one video. I like that. Alright, you guys, I'm gonna end it here for now. I really did enjoy that courtroom battle. I love the bickering between, Apollo and Prosecutor the Best. I loved the role the witnesses played in it, even Mr. Season. Overall, I really enjoyed myself, and I hope you did too. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, if you think I'm really stupid and you want to see me fail more, please consider hitting that subscribe button to see more of my content. Don't forget to like the video, or dislike it if you didn't like it. And also consider subscribing to my Geometry Dash channel, the link will be in the description below, as well as a link to my Twitch channel where I stream live. Thank you everyone, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Peace!